Portland's fiscal year 2024-2025 budget. For this evening, we'll be hearing from community members to provide testimony to the council on issues that they would like to see addressed in the city's upcoming budget. I'm going to kick us off. My name is Jen Gray O'Connor. I'll be our facilitator for this evening. I'm going to read a few statements regarding our rules of conduct, go over our agenda, and then I will pass it to Mayor Wheeler to provide some opening remarks. After that, we'll hear from Budget Director Tim Grew for a Budget 101 to orient us to this process. And then we'll open it up to community members to provide testimony on any topic that they would like. Followed by our community testimony, we'll have some closing remarks by each of our council members. And then I'll close us out by providing some closing information about some additional opportunities to provide input. On that note, I definitely want to highlight that this is one of many opportunities for folks to provide input on this process. There are some additional hearings that are coming up that we would also invite folks to attend. The next one will be this Saturday, April 13th from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. And that is another community budget listening session. Then we'll also be hosting one on Monday, April 15th from 6:30 to 8:30. And that'll be our third community budget listening session. And then Thursday, May 9th from 2 to 5 p.m. will be the mayor's proposed budget hearing, followed finally on Wednesday, May 15th from 2 to 5 p.m. by the approved budget hearing. Again, at any time, if you want to provide online testimony, you can do so at portland.gov/CBO or by emailing budgetcomment@portlandoregon.gov. Okay, with that said, I'm just going to read two statements. And the first one is an electronic meeting statement. Under the Portland City Code and state law, the City Council is holding this meeting electronically. All members of council are attending this remotely by video and teleconference. And the city's made several avenues available for the public to listen to the audio broadcast of this meeting. The meeting is available to the public on the city's YouTube channel, eGovPDX, at portland.gov/video and channel 30. The public can also provide written testimony to council on the budget at the budget office website, portland.gov/CBO, as well as by email at budgetcomment@portlandoregon.gov. And then the next statement I'll read is our rules of conduct for the evening. The City Council represents all Portlanders and meets to do the city's business. The presiding officer preserves order and decorum during City Council meetings so that everyone can feel welcome, comfortable, respected, and safe. To participate in this meeting, participants applied to give testimony online. If you did not apply and would like to give testimony to council, submit the testimony in writing at portland.gov/CBO. When testifying, please state your name for the record. Your address is not necessary. Please declare if you are a lobbyist. If you're representing an organization, please identify it. You'll have 2 minutes to testify and you'll be timed by staff. When your time's over, you'll be given a verbal warning and then muted when 2 minutes have passed to allow for as much time and participation as possible. Disruptive conduct, such as shouting, refusing to conclude your testimony when your time is up, or interrupting others' testimony will not be allowed. If there are disruptions, a warning will be given that further disruption may result in the person being muted or ejected for the remainder of this electronic meeting. Please be aware that all council meetings are recorded. Thank you for helping your fellow Portlanders feel welcome, comfortable, respected, and safe. And with this, I would like to pass it to Mayor Wheeler for some opening remarks for this evening. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks. And we'll keep the opening part of this presentation brief. The vast majority of the time is going to be listening to you and your public testimony. First of all, Jen, I want to thank you for facilitating today. And I want to thank the Portlanders who tuned in either to testify today or to listen. We appreciate it. I look forward to hearing your perspective on how we can best address some of the issues deeply affecting our city. As we kick off these 3 listening sessions, it's helpful to review the greater economic context in which the decisions will be made by the council. The city's fiscal environment is more constrained than we've experienced in recent years, with the financial forecast indicating that there will be no new ongoing or one-time funding available in the fiscal year 24-25. And by the way, the fiscal year starts on July 1st. There are several significant issues that the council is going to need to address in the upcoming budget, including, but certainly not limited to, legal obligations that we've committed to, for example, supporting the Columbia River Levee project, funding the Police Oversight Board that was approved by voters, as well as other significant environmental liabilities. As with virtually every other organization, we're experiencing higher personnel costs due to historic rates of overtime. This is particularly acute in our emergency response bureaus, as well as increases due to bargaining costs. The expiration of one-time money for high priority programs, including federal funding through the American Rescue Plan Act at the end of 2024, declines in certain revenue streams within the general fund, which is our discretionary dollars. Some of those declines include reduced business license tax income. Some non-general fund bureaus, such as the Portland Bureau of Transportation and the Bureau of Development Services, are also seeing, in some cases, significant declining revenues. Costs related to the implementation of the voter-approved charter reform are significant, but we've all committed that on January 1st, 2025, as per the will of the voters, we will be up and running under a new form of government. So for these and other reasons, my budget guidance directed all bureaus, with the exception of some of our key public safety bureaus, to meet a 5% budget constraint and reflect increased costs related to charter change, assuming no new resources. Council is tasked with making difficult decisions that will impact each service area in order to meet the most critical needs of Portlanders, while balancing financial constraints and carrying out our obligation to make sure that the new form of government is up and running first thing next year. I can tell you that this is my 22nd budget process as mayor of Portland, and this is going to be the most difficult one so far. So your input is appreciated. There's no monopoly on the truth here. This is your government. We want to hear what your perspectives are. So thank you for that, and I'll turn it back to you, Jen.
Great, thank you. Next, we're going to hear from Budget Director Tim Grew for a Budget 101.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. Good evening, commissioners and public participants. My name is Tim Grew. I am the city's budget director. I'm going to provide you with a high-level overview of the city's budget process to help inform you and assist your engagement today and in the future. Next slide, please. The city is not the only entity providing important public services to Portlanders. We partner with other local and regional governments to provide comprehensive services to our community. The county, which for us is, for Portland, includes Multnomah County, Clark, and Washington counties, primarily provide human services, public health services, libraries, the district attorney, management of the jail, and parole and probation systems. TriMet, of course, provides bus services, light rail, and commuter rail service. And Metro plans for the future of Portland region, provides parks, venues, and services that cross city and county lines. And of course, our public school systems are also an important jurisdictional partner. Next slide, please. City organizations, the city organizes our bureaus and services into 7 major service areas, all pictured on this slide. As I will discuss later in the presentation, these services will be revised to reflect the new charter organization and are the basis for developing the 24-25 budget. Transportation manages traffic infrastructure, parking, streetcars, and other services. Public utilities are primarily water, sewer, and storm water services. Public safety, of course, is police, fire, and our 911 calls talking session, our emergency management services. Parks and Recreation is a single bureau that maintains our parks, recreation programs, golf, and even a raceway. Community development includes economic and development services, planning and sustainability, affordable housing. And finally, support services include all of those back office functions that support frontline service providers. Next slide, please. Budget conversations and decisions often focus on the general fund discretionary resources, as these resources can be allocated to programs with few restrictions. But of the total city budget, only 10% is comprised of discretionary resources. It's important to remember that as we talk about general fund discretionary allocations, we are only talking about a relatively small piece of the city's budget. 90% of city resources are dedicated to restricted resources such as utility rates, grants, capital projects that are supported by bonds and debt issuance, and dedicated tax levies such as the children's levy. Next slide, please. This slide illustrates what is included in the general fund for both revenues and expenditures that contribute to a balancing of the budget. Primary general fund revenues are property taxes, licenses, fees, business license taxes, and state and federal shared revenues. The primary expenditures are for positions, materials and expenditures, and capital improvements and equipment, as well as other grants. Over the course of the fiscal year, the amount we spend cannot be more than the amount we collect, which means that we must balance our expenses and revenues throughout the year. Next slide, please. When revenues are greater than expenses, the city has more flexibility on how to spend its resources. It can choose to add new programs, expand existing programs, shore up reserves, or invest in one-time projects. Sometimes the city expects revenue to be greater than our expenses over a long period of time, allowing the city to expand on ongoing services. Next slide, please. When expected expenditures are greater than we expect to collect in revenue, we need to reduce costs. This could mean we reduce employees, find ways to consolidate services under a single bureau to find efficiencies, or in particularly tight years, it could simply mean that the city must do less than it has been doing by eliminating or reducing services. Next slide, please. The general forecast for 24-25 budget indicates that revenues will not cover required expenditures. This is in part the result of new expenses that are legally required, which the mayor referenced in his opening conversations. Next slide, please. As indicated in this chart, the general fund forecast shows that revenues and expenditures will continue to be challenging for several years. This will make it difficult to not just fund current services, but also new requirements. For this reason, as the mayor referenced, he required bureaus to receive general fund discretionary to reduce expenditures by 5%, excluding public safety, for the 24-25 budget process. Next slide, please. 5% reduction will assist the city in addressing additional expenses above forecasts, including new legal requirements such as mandated Department of Justice settlement, the recent approval of the state legislatures funding for the Portland Metropolitan Levy System, and a voter-approved community board for policing. Next slide, please. This chart shows the allocation of general fund and non-general fund services. The largest area of the general fund budget is for public safety, including fire and police, followed by virtual communities, which include parks and recreation, and followed by the budget financial services. For non-general fund budgets, the largest portion is the public works, which is primarily for water and sewer services, followed by community, economic, and development services. Next slide, please. The 24-25 budget is a transition year from the commissioner form of government to the charter-approved new government structure. The first part of this slide shows how the city has traditionally allocated the budget based upon commissioner portfolios and assigned bureaus. For 24-25 and ongoing, the budget will be developed by 6 service areas: budget and finance, city operations, community and economic development, community safety, vibrant community, and public works. Each of these service areas will be headed by a deputy city administrator that will submit budgets to the chief administrative officer and mayor. For FY 24-25, the first half of the year will be under the current form of government, but with transitions. The second half will be with the chief administrator, mayor, and 12-member council. Next slide. As can be seen in this chart, budgets will transition from bureaus to service areas under the guidance of the city and deputy city administrator. The proposed budget will transition to development by the chief administrative mayor. The approved and adopted budgets will transition approval by 12-member council, with the mayor having authority in the event of a voting tie. For the current budget process, the mayor and council are already taking action to move towards this new process. That completes my overview of the city budget transition to the new form of government and other factors. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Director Greer. I really appreciate the background. That's very, very helpful. Next, we're going to move into open testimony, and tonight we have a lot of testimony to get through. And we want to hear from all of these very, very extremely important topics to cover. So I just want to give a quick reminder to everyone to please stop when our timekeeper calls time. And we also want to encourage you to follow our rules of conduct for respectful communication. Just as a reminder, if you're in violation of those rules, I'll give you a reminder. And then if that behavior continues, you will be muted and then removed. So we have a lot of folks who have signed up to give testimony, and we want to make sure that those who are here on this call get the chance to be heard. So again, there's 2 minutes for testimony, and our staff are going to time you. There's also, you can see Open Sky, a box that will give you a time to be able to visually see how it's counting down. At 2 minutes, we'd love if you could just conclude your comments. We'll give you another warning again at 2 minutes and 10 seconds and 2 minutes and 20 seconds before muting you. If you're joining by phone, please use *6 as the way to mute or unmute. And with that, I'm going to pass it to my colleague Jeremiah, who will announce our first 3 speakers.
Thank you, Jen. For the first 3 today, we have Michelle C. Funk, Sean Creedon, and Kathy Spofford. I'm going to start by calling Michelle C. Funk.
Yeah, fix that. But first,
do we have Michelle on the call? Michelle, maybe we'll move to the next participant, and then if you're able to join the call, we'll bump you up. And thank you all for patience as we get started here.
Yeah. Next, we'll have Sean Creedon. Moving to Kathy Spofford first.
Okay. Do I just start?
Yes, thank you, Kathy.
Okay. Hi. Thank you. My name is Kathy Spofford, and I was a social worker in Portland at the Multnomah County Health Department and then the Portland VA Medical Center for 25 years. And I worked primarily with people who were unhoused and had mental health and addiction issues. I worked both in clinics and out in the community, and I'm testifying in support of fully funding the 24/7 expansion of Portland Street Response. When I was working, we didn't have a Portland Street Response option. We didn't often have to call the police, but when we did, it was very traumatizing for the people who were in crisis and already traumatized. Having the police respond didn't help the relationships that we were trying to build with our clients. Portland Street Response is a critical, unarmed emergency response. Portland Street Response team members are trained to de-escalate situations when responding to a mental health crisis. They can direct people to needed resources and help them to get medical care instead of going to jail. Let the Portland Police focus on their mission of public safety, and Portland Street Response focus on helping people who are in crisis. Thank you for allowing me to give my comments, and please fully support Portland Street Response. Thank you.
Thank you, Kathy. We'll now move to our next three participants. We'll have Sasha Bartus-Smith, Elizabeth Mayer, and Tiffany Koyama Lane. We'll start with Sasha Bartus-Smith.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Sasha. Mayor Wheeler, commissioners, for the record, my name is Sasha Bartus-Smith, and I am here today on behalf of the NAIA Family Center as the Community Engagement Specialist. I'm here to testify in support of fully funding the Office of Civic Life's Diversity and Civic Leadership, or DCL, program, as opposed to the 31% funding decrease proposed. I can personally attest to the importance of this funding, as I have been coordinating NAIA programs funded by DCL for the last 4 years, and have seen the profound impacts of this work on our community. I have the honor of working on NAIA's policy, advocacy, and community engagement team, where we believe that for our community, cultural empowerment is civic engagement. I want to tell you about a program funded by DCL that is very near to my heart. The Portland Youth and Elders Council is an intergenerational space for our local urban Indigenous community to gather and hold conversations around issues impacting the community, brainstorm community-based solutions, and push for lasting change. In the words of one community member, the Portland Youth and Elders Council is a way to give voice for all our community and to stand stronger together. This is one of many programs that rely on DCL funding to bring people together and ensure our voices are represented in decision-making processes that will impact us and our future generations. Over the last 15 years since the DCL program was created, community-based organizations have worked to develop leadership skills and build community so that BIPOC, immigrant, and refugee Portlanders could shape the city's public policy and establish meaningful relationships with government. Decreasing funding by such a significant amount would be detrimental to this work that we're doing. We're creating this program and allocating funding sent a message of support and prioritization of the needs and dreams of communities of color. Defunding this programming after so many years of influential work would send a message that this work we are doing does not matter to the city. BIPOC communities deserve to see the city of Portland's commitment to diversity reflected in the budget, and the proposed budget would only set our communities back. I welcome your support for a fully funded diversity and civic leadership program for this budget cycle, and I want to invite you to follow through on your commitments to invest in a more equitable and anti-racist future. Thank you.
Thank you, Sasha. Next, we'll have Elizabeth Mayer. Elizabeth, are you on the call? All right, we'll go to Tiffany Koyama Lane first then.
Hello, and thanks for the opportunity to provide comment. My name is Tiffany Koyama Lane. My pronouns are she, her. I'm a Portland Public School teacher and a leader in the Portland Association of Teachers, and I'm also a candidate for City Council in District 3. I'm here to advocate for Portland Street Response, a program that is foundational to the healing that our city desperately needs. I've been teaching for 15 years, and I've learned a lot about people in that time. I've seen firsthand that bringing a law enforcement approach to a behavioral crisis is not effective. I've seen how compassionate, trauma-informed mental health support from people with excellent training can literally change the course of someone's life. Meanwhile, on our streets, I've seen more interactions that I can count where people in crisis presenting a threat to no one but themselves are met with armed officers who, through no fault of their own, lack proper training around mental health support or substance use disorder. I've heard from many neighbors who have seen someone in trouble on the street, sometimes even with no clothes on, and they don't want to call 911 for fear that someone with an illness will be sent to jail or possibly even hurt in the process. And they are rightfully uncomfortable with the idea that a person who is houseless or hurting will be pushed even further away from the treatment and advocacy that they need. I'm running for office in part because I want to make sure common sense, compassionate solutions like Portland Street Response are front and center in our public policy. I call upon our current leaders to protect and grow this groundbreaking, popular, pragmatic program, fully fund it, fully staff it for robust 24/7 service. Give it an appropriate home in our city structure. Don't entrust it to politicians who find it expedient to mismanage or defund it. Portland Street Response is popular because it is a common sense solution to some of our most profound interwoven challenges. Portlanders are telling you that this is the right direction for our city. Please hear us.
Thank you. Next, is Elizabeth on the call? Just want to go back to that real quick. I'm not seeing Elizabeth. We will move on to the next two first. We have Todd Diskin as well as Christine Tanner. Todd, are you able to unmute?
Oh, I see that Todd has joined us.
My apologies. I was off there for a second, but just wanted to say thank you. My name is Todd Diskin. I'm a resident of the Arbor Lodge neighborhood in North Portland, and I'm here to also be an advocate for Friends of PSR and echo a lot of what's already been said around the importance of Portland Street Response to our community. It's critical that we have an unarmed and kind way that we're approaching how we support people who are facing mental health crisis and other needs in our community. The current approach of bringing armed police to a situation is not tenable, nor is it working. PSR saves lives. It's a citywide response, 24/7 is what we need. It's what we've asked for. It's what we want funded, and that's what we expect. We want more PSR, not less. And from the current proposal to cut 80% is not okay with any of us. At minimum, PSR needs to have a budget that can help maintain service levels that allow for 24/7 service to our community across the community. We need to have operating services that can be dispatched through 911, that they're a direct and integrated approach to our community. I feel very strongly about this. I'm looking at all the candidates for the next election cycle to see who is supporting PSR, who's going to stand up for it, and that's going to be a critical decision-making factor in how I look at the next elections. Please save Portland Street Response. The organization I work for is Hands on Greater Portland. We work with nonprofits around the community. Every nonprofit that I've worked with has been working with people who are experiencing homelessness, have said Portland Street Response is the way. I listen to them. I understand what they're experiencing, and I hope that you will too. We all demand it. We want it. We keep voting for it. For the people that also want to vote for it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Todd. Next, we'll hear from Christine Tanner. I don't see Christine Tanner on right now. We'll move on to Rana Tahir next.
Hello, my name is Rana Tahir. I am a Portland resident. I am also a local author, and I work in the Pearl District. I walk by and see homeless people every day. They are not harming anyone, but sometimes they might be in crisis. And I have personally called Portland Street Response numerous times in the past and have seen the work that they do. So I'm urging our council to fully fund Portland Street's Response so that it can be available 24/7 to those who need it. I think it is a vital and important resource for our community, and it keeps us all safe while allocating resources where they need to go. I do not believe that having armed people come in to help with a mental health crisis or other nonviolent crisis is useful for our time, our money, and our health as a community. And I'll keep that short. Thank you. I will be watching closely to see who will be supporting as I vote in this next coming election. Thank you.
Thank you, Rana. Next, we'll hear from Matthias Quackenbush.
Good evening. My name is Matthias. I'm a case manager and mental health clinician who works with military veterans working on transitioning out of homelessness, primarily in East Multnomah County. I'm also a homeowner and transit rider from the Madison South neighborhood, just blocks from Northeast 82nd Avenue. I'm taking this time to implore the council to approve a budget that meaningfully supports the maintenance and full expansion of Portland Street Response to 24-hour citywide service. Like many of us, I'm working to hold the balance between a desire for a safe, livable neighborhood and a city that is humane and welcoming to people of all economic levels, as well as people who struggle with mental health and substance use challenges, which are extremely common among the population as a whole, and especially so among people like the veterans I serve who are working on transitioning to being housed. In my role, I get to visit people in their homes over years, getting to know the totality of the person beyond the dehumanizing stereotypes many seem to apply to the many of our neighbors who sometimes find themselves in the position of struggling with these challenges in public settings, without the privilege of doing so behind closed doors. I've seen the frequency with which unnecessary engagement with police officers during one's worst moments can reverberate in the form of additional trauma, deepened addiction, and legal and financial barriers that only stand in the way of transitioning to being stably housed and able to fully contribute one's gifts and strengths to our community. As a proud Madison South neighbor, I spend a lot of time outside walking my dog and waiting for the bus, and have had occasion to call Portland Street Response several times. It's been so heartening and empowering to see the humanizing impact of having a reliable number to call to provide support to someone who is struggling in public, rather than simply having to turn away due to not feeling equipped to intervene. Portland Street Response, in just a few short years of existence, has proven that it can contribute crucially to resolving that illusory conflict between livability and humanity. This is why fully funding Portland Street Response and maintaining its unique features as an unarmed standalone emergency response option available through 911 is such an important priority for this year's budget. Unfortunately, the budget has been slashed in recent years, resulting in a sadly short-sighted forfeiture of federal funding. An investment this year, not just maintaining current service levels, but expanding the 24-hour service is crucially important to reverse the current momentum of disinvestment. 24-hour service is especially important as a bus commuter. I've been at the MAX station more than once and tried to call them. They told us not available until 8 a.m., which is ridiculous. Please seize this critical moments. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next three testimonies will be by Sue Gemmell, Lisa Freeman, and Judah McAuley. We'll start with Sue Gemmell.
Wonderful. It looks like Sue, you joined the call.
Yeah, I'm here. I'm just unmuting and getting ready. Okay, I'm Sue Gemmell. Pronouns are she and her. I've lived in Portland's Inner East Side for 35 years, currently in Kearns. And I'm talking with you tonight to emphatically ask that the council preserve and strengthen Portland Street Response, the unarmed emergency response branch that assists people in crisis. Since 2010, I've volunteered extensively to support people who find themselves living on the street. My involvement began when I walked under the west end of the Burnside Bridge every morning to work for an INGO at Skidmore Fountain and thought someone should do something. Like countless other Portlanders, I've stepped up. Literally thousands of us have. In addition to volunteering at many shelters and at Rahab Sisters for many years, I have provided respite foster care to teens, housed young people in need, and served on 2 boards that provide services, including microvillages to our houseless neighbors. Some of them are my friends. I share this to provide context for what I know, give weight to my perspective, and to remind everyone that you can do something. I've seen firsthand that the fear people express when police respond to a crisis. There's no need to show the amount of force and control that a uniformed officer exudes. The results can be tragic. People need compassion and listening from public safety. But if the cuts proposed by Commissioner Gonzalez and loss of federal funds threaten PSR, the program will be gutted and leave people in crisis without the comfort that they need. The people of Portland, your constituents, want more Portland Street response, not less. In 2022, PSR was funded for an expansion that never came. Please listen to us. Additionally, the PSU report suggests it will be most effective to have PSR as a standalone bureau. I'm asking you to fully fund and expand and include the tools that are succeed. Thank you for listening, and thank you, Mr. Grew, for the helpful budget overview.
Thank you, Sue. Next, we'll hear from Lisa Freeman. I've also been told that Elizabeth Mayer is back on. Elizabeth, if you're on the call, do you want to jump in? Great.
Yes, thank you so much. I really appreciate the opportunity to try this again. So thank you for hearing me out. I teach middle school science at a Title I school here in Portland. I've taught in Portland Public for many years and have seen the effect of homelessness, violence, and addiction in the lives of my students. And I'm here to ask that the city budget fully fund Portland Street Response. The way I see it, it is a model program, both within our city and our country. I think that with it, we're leading both locally and nationally on an issue that is really at the top of Portlanders' list of concerns. This program is part of public safety, and it really deserves to be elevated and fully funded. It enables our police officers to focus on areas where they're needed and relieves the need for them to be acting as social workers, especially when we are a country that has struggled with police violence and mistrust of police force. We have here a very established, successful program that helps people. And I have to say, why would we take our foot off the gas when we have things going in this strong, successful direction? We know that the drug crisis and homelessness crisis aren't going away right now. And when Portlanders are asked, well, how are we solving these problems? What can we do to keep our city clean and help our homeless neighbors? I think the answer we should be able to give is, hey, we have this incredible program here. You should check it out. It's called Portland Street Response, and we have it fully funded, and it's doing great things. This is something we should be proud of, and I really look forward to hearing other comments, and thanks again for bringing me back on.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Next, we'll hear from Judah McCauley.
Yes, hello, and thank you. My name is Judah McCauley, and I'm a longtime Portland resident, and I'm speaking today in favor of fully funding Portland Street Response. A little bit of background about me. I'm a many-generation Oregonian and longtime Portland resident, and I've started and run multiple businesses in downtown Portland, currently live in the East Cully neighborhood. And more than that, I come from a family with a history of mental illness and drug dependency, and then also have friends who work both in and with Portland Street Response, as well as a partner who is a psychiatric medical provider at Portland's Emergency Medical Hospital for Psychiatric Illness, Unity. So I've seen firsthand, both in my family and in my community, the impact of the many crises we're having and the work that Portland Street Response does. And in addition, I've spent 4 years on the Community Budget Review Committee for Portland Public Schools, including chairing it. So I have an intimate understanding on, for good or bad, on how government budgets work and the conundrums thereof. And so to this point, I want to emphasize that early intervention is public safety. The Police Bureau's budget, which is not being cut, is over $250 million. And PSR's budget is under $12 million. That's 5% of the amount of the Police Bureau. The mayor has said that there are to be no cuts to public safety, which I commend, and yet PSR seems to be on the chopping block in spite of being housed within the fire department and being one of the most cost-effective programs we have in local government. City residents have repeatedly said their top concerns right now are the rise in fentanyl use and the rise in number of houseless folks. And PSR, more than any other agency, lies squarely at the intersection of our two most critical priorities. There will probably never be a time to cut this, but now is certainly not. So please prioritize fully funding Portland Street Response 24/7 for the care of our most city's pressing needs. Thank you.
Thank you, Judah. Our next 4 testimonies will be by Leon Latug, Hannah Jennings-Wojcowicz, Bonnie McKinley, and Marian Fitzgerald. We'll hear first from Leon Latug.
Hi, thank you very much. My name is Leon Laptuk. I'm a longtime Portland resident. I live in the Sunnyside neighborhood. I'm also here to express my complete support for the Portland Street Response. Other than repeating what others have so eloquently said, I'm just going to point out that this is something that our 2 U.S. senators are bragging about to the rest of the nation. It's a program that has worked very effectively in Eugene for almost 30 years. And it's one of those programs that has great popularity amongst the residents of Portland. Certainly, all the residents in my area have tried to call Portland Street Response from time to time. And unfortunately, it appears to have fallen into that competition for funds, which has inevitably led to balkanization in city decision-making and budgeting priorities. And that's just really unfortunate. It's a program that we truly need, that truly serves the public, and somehow, some way needs to be kept on the top burner. Well, thank you very much for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Leon. Next, we'll hear from Hannah Jennings-Wojcowicz.
Hi there. My name is Hannah Jennings-Wojcowicz, and I am testifying in support of fully funding the 24/7 expansion of Portland Street Response. I've never done anything like this before. I'm simply a naturalized citizen of the United States and a homeowner in Madison South. As someone who lives close to Northeast 82nd, I regularly see the work that Portland Street Response does for my unhoused neighbors, and I've had to call them up for help on many occasions. On one such occasion, my neighbors and I called Portland Street Response while trying to help a dehydrated and disoriented person who was stumbling, falling, and fainting on our block. While we were on the phone to PSR, a different neighbor came out of their house wielding a baseball bat, yelling and threatening the struggling person. This person hung around until PSR arrived to gently de-escalate the situation and take care of the person in need. Without PSR's care, this person could have died, either by dehydration or confrontation. The outpouring of help for that person that day showed me just how many people in my neighborhood want to see their unhoused neighbors treated with compassion, not threats or violence. Calling PSR makes me feel safer than calling the police, who receive hundreds of millions of dollars a year. Funding PPP in my neighborhood does not look like protecting or serving. It looks like Portland police profiling, harassing, sweeping, and even killing unhoused Portlanders. I'm here as a supporter of Friends of PSR. PSR is a critical community service that saves lives, reduces harm, and de-escalates violence. I'm asking you, the council, to fully resource them. This program needs $12 million to maintain current service levels, and while I would argue that the program needs expansion well beyond this, maintenance of current levels is a must. Portland has taken this incredible step of funding a modern program that provides public safety and health to those who need it most, while also adding an arm to 911 that unburdens other services. The thought of taking away something that's valuable, vital, and progressive makes me fear for the future of many people in Madison South and surrounding communities. Please do everything in your power and your budget to save Portland Street Response. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Next, we'll hear from Bonnie McKinley. Not sure if Bonnie is on right now, but I see Lisa Freeman just reconnected. Lisa, would you like to go ahead?
Thank you. Mayor Wheeler, City Council, and members of the public. My name is Lisa Freeman, and I am here tonight in my personal capacity as a proud Rose City Self-Defense volunteer instructor and candidate for City Council in District 4. I decided to enroll in the 40-hour Rose City Self-Defense Instructor training late last year and was honored to be among such an impressive cadre of women and non-binary folks committed to helping other women and non-binary folks feel safer. We set aside 5 Saturdays this winter for intensive 8-hour training sessions led by 2 incredibly talented city employees. When my alarm went off earlier than it normally would on those Saturday mornings, I thought about this amazing group of people, and also my stepdaughter Eleanor and my niece Lacey, and how I wanted to help them feel more empowered and safe in the world. On our 4th Saturday together, our day began with the news that the 45-year-old Rose City Self-Defense Program, the only city safety program to specifically serve women, girls, and members of the queer community, and to specifically address intimate partner violence, was going to be cut. I was gutted. How could this program, almost entirely run by volunteers like us, be on the chopping block? Later, I learned of other proposed budget cuts to essential community-based interventions and responder programs, like Portland Street Response, the Office of Violence Prevention, and the Safe Blocks program. All of these programs represent relatively small financial investments in evidence-based approaches that yield dividends for community safety. I am asking you to restore funding for Rose City Self-Defense, to fully fund Portland Street Response for 24/7 operations, and to reverse the proposed downsizing to the Office of Violence Prevention and the Safe Blocks program. Our community needs these programs to be safe. I will be volunteering my time to teach my first Rose City Self-Defense class in May, and I hope you will not let it be my last. Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa. Next, I've been told that Bonnie is back on. Bonnie, would you like to go ahead?
Yes, please. My name is Bonnie McKinley. Thank you for this opportunity to speak on behalf of Portland Street Response. I am grateful to live in a city that includes a public service dedicated to the humane treatment of people in crisis. Portland Street Response has a skilled team of peer support specialists, community health workers, paramedics, and mental health crisis responders. To keep them on the team, we need to support them with respect and funding. These essential workers must be convinced that the City of Portland has made a long-term commitment to them and to the program's success. Because PSR is barely 3 years old, officials and the public should appreciate how successful it has been even in its infancy. Portland must maintain PSR's leadership position as part of a growing community of emergency response teams throughout the country. I serve for public safety in the Maplewood Neighborhood Association. Last August, Portland Street Response was invited to our annual Night Out neighborhood picnic. Neighbors eagerly clustered around the 2 shiny vans which were open for public inspection. Informal presentations were conducted, questions asked and answered. The tone was relaxed, yet informative and reassuring. It's comforting to know that vans of trained, competent, and caring providers are available to help us and our neighbors in times of greatest needs. Any change made in funding for Portland Street Response should be for strengthening, not cutting, this invaluable program. We need PSR round the clock, round the town, 24/7, citywide. Thank you.
Thank you, Bonnie. Next, we'll hear from Marian Fitzgerald.
Thank you. Good evening. I am the president of Crestwood Neighborhood Association, and we applaud the city budget office's efforts to format the budgets to address a new form of government. We're concerned about the significant cost of implementing charter reform, but tonight I'm focusing our comments on 3 specific areas. First, the Office of Community and Civic Life's budget needs to fund the nonprofit Neighborhood District Coalition offices by the number of neighborhood associations rather than by population. Second, the new natural area and tree management service area proposal needs to have meaningful public dialogue on details such as which service area it should be assigned to and which services should be assigned to this new bureau before decisions are made. We've been waiting months for this opportunity and it hasn't happened yet. Third, the Public Works Service Area needs to fund Crestwood's highest priority needed street and stormwater improvements on Southwest Taylor's Ferry Road in the West Portland Town Center. I'll briefly elaborate on these 3 points. Civic life must consider the basic costs associated with supporting each of the neighborhood associations. Things like insurance, corporate registrations, and communications tools are needed to comply with City Code 3.96 and state laws. Crestwood is in District 4, which has triple the number of neighborhoods assigned to it, but not triple the budget. We're requesting about $300,000 more just for District 4 to support the neighborhoods and civic engagement in Portland. Second, we do not support the Vibrant Communities Decision Package number 19431. We want you to talk to us. Let's discuss whether the Bureau belongs in Vibrant Communities or the Public Works Service Area, and which staff and services need to be assigned to that Bureau. Again, that dialogue has not happened yet. I'll save the rest of my comments for written testimony. Thank you for the opportunity. Good night.
Thank you, Marianne. Our next 3 testimonies tonight will be by Robert Fisher, Sarah Risser, and Gary Berger. Robert, would you like to go ahead?
Great, I see.
Am,
Rob trying to-
am I there?
Yay, yes, we can hear you. Thank you.
Oh, okay. Okay. Good evening, commissioners and mayor. My name is Bob Fisher, and I reside in the Collinsview neighborhood. I want to thank you for this opportunity to hear from residents of Portland. I want to speak to you about the Neighborhood Emergency Program, the Neighborhood Emergency Team Program that is overseen by the Portland Bureau of Emergency Management. I have a sense that it is running into trouble financially and organizationally, and I think it deserves your attention. By way of background, I have been a member of the NET team for over a decade now, participating in a team of just under 35 residents in the Collinsview neighborhood, which is up by Lewis and Clark. Though basically trained to help prepare the city to respond to the kinds of impacts that we expect from a Cascadia subduction zone earthquake, I think it is worth reminding you all how much other service NET trained volunteers provide the city of Portland on an ongoing basis. Virtually every storm, rain, wind, snow, ice storms that hit the area, NET team volunteers are out in these demanding elements, maintaining safe perimeters around down power lines, perimeters that are established by the Portland Fire and Rescue Bureau. NET volunteers are also an important presence at the warming and cooling centers during inclement weather, as they are also at the Rose Parade and other neighborhood parades and Portland Marathon, helping to secure safe traffic and pedestrian crossings as assistance to the Portland Police Bureau, as we were in the explosion in the donut shop in Northwest 23rd several years ago. I could go on, but I want to summarize that I have a sense that the city's investment in supporting this program is paying off greatly in many areas that I sense are going unnoticed. As you start the budget crunch, please look closely at what the city is gaining, not only spending, in support of this valuable public safety program. Thank you.
Thank you, Robert. Next, we'll hear from Sarah Risser.
Hi, thank you so much for listening to me tonight. My name is Sarah Risser, and before I get started, I want to say that I also support fully funding Portland Street Response, but that's not why I'm here tonight. I am a member of the local chapter of Families for Safe Streets, and I also sit on the executive committee for the national chapter of Families for Safe Streets. And many of you have heard me speak on this topic before. We have a crisis of road fatalities in the city of Portland. This is arguably Portland's one of the top public safety concerns, and it deserves all of our resources. We truly are in crisis. This crisis affects people of all ages and all ethnicities. We have seen violent road fatalities already this year in every district in Portland, pretty much in every type of neighborhood. Year to date, road fatalities are a full 50% higher than they were in 2023. So what I really want to see fully funded is Portland's Vision Zero program. This program dates to I believe it's late 2015, and I pulled up the original document. And when this program began, the goal was to reduce Portland's road fatalities to 0 by 2025. We've gone in the wrong direction. The program is not working. So I called up the most recent update to the Vision Zero plan. And before I got into any specific recommendations, there was a disclaimer saying that this program can't work unless it's fully funded, implying that this program is not fully funded. We desperately need to start addressing this issue in a serious way. Please fully fund Vision Zero. Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah. Next, we'll have Gary Berger, sorry.
Hi, can you hear me?
We can. Thank you, Gary.
Great, thank you. Gary Berger. I am a board member of the Neighbors West Northwest Coalition. I am here to provide you with comparison of the current coalition to the proposed District 4 coalition. I'd like to give you some comparisons. The number of residents currently supported by Neighbors West Northwest is about 65,000. District 4 will be about 174,000 residents. The number of neighborhood associations is going to increase from 11 to 33. However, the proposed budget for District 4 will increase by only about 23%. That funding level is insufficient to provide the services mandated by the city and the ONI standards to the 33 neighborhood associations. We therefore ask that you increase the proposed budget to a minimum of 600,000 to allow us to provide those, again, mandated services. The return that you get is the work that all of the neighborhood associations do throughout District 4. One, the Pearl District Neighborhood Association last year had contributed 106 volunteers, over 12,000 hours of volunteer service, and they spent 3,000 of their money to provide supplies and support the work they did. They removed graffiti, they cleaned up the community, they did safety patrols, and they also picked up cigarette butts. I would like to remind the city of what the city used to frequently say, and that is neighborhood associations are the backbone of the city. I hope you consider the benefits that the city receives from the neighborhood associations and funds the district at least 600,000. Thank you.
Thank you, Gary. Next, we have Darlene Garrett. Darlene, I see you're on the call. Are you able to unmute?
Unmute. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, great. I'm a little nervous being here. This is my first time testifying in front of you, or giving testimony. so you know it must be important. My name is Darlene Urban Garrett. I'm the Executive Director of Neighbors West Northwest. We are already starting to do business as the District 4 Coalition in preparation for the transition. Thank you for the opportunity to testify on behalf of the District 4 Coalition and the 32 neighborhood associations. The city has underfunded the District 4 Coalition by approximately $300,000. While other coalitions received a similar amount of funding to serve this year or the next fiscal year, other coalitions received a similar amount of funding as we did to serve 14 neighborhoods or 19 neighborhoods, and District 4 will be serving 32 neighborhoods. We serve organizations. The impact of underfunding District 4 will be devastating to the services we deliver. We won't be able to deliver the same level of services as other neighborhoods in coalitions that only have 19 neighborhoods or 14 neighborhoods. We will be doing 3 times the work that we are doing now for literally an additional base grant amount of $45,000. And that is if we do the small grants programs and plus do everything else that the city requires. We boldly stepped up when the city asked us to, as a coalition, to be the purchaser and holder of liability insurance and directors and officers insurance for the Southwest neighborhoods. We stepped up because we knew we would be vying for the position of the District 4 Coalition. We started moving forward to bring all the neighborhoods in District 4 together. Does that mean that I'm through? Is that a minute or was that 2 minutes? Okay, we've begun strategic planning.
That's our 2-minute timer. So if you could just go ahead and conclude remarks, please.
Okay. Well, many of you may not even realize the gross error in your funding of the District 4 Coalition. Know that we have to inform the city what we can and cannot do based on previously contracted services, ONI standards, and Code 396. The money that we're getting will not even allow us to hire an additional FTE. So, and we've tripled in size. The issue is critical for us. We need you to hear what I'm saying and what other people are saying about the underfunding in District 4. And you've jeopardized the organization actually by underfunding us to that level.
I'm going to ask you to mute so we can move on to our next participant. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Next, we have 3 more. We have 3 more people who are on the call, but who are not on the list at this point. We have Andrew Diffenbach, Mark Jamieson, and Jordan Lewis. Would you like to provide comments in that order? We'll hear from Andrew first.
Oh, I can see everybody. Hi, thank you, Mayor Wheeler and commissioners. I'm speaking today to urge violence prevention funding be prioritized in the 2024-25 city budget. Again, my name is Andrew Diefenbach. I'm a husband and father, not just a resident of this beautiful city, but a deeply concerned neighbor and citizen. My family and I live next door to Perlia Bell, who I believe you will hear from at a later meeting. And she is the heart of our neighborhood and an essential pillar supporting the whole of Portland. She's tragically lost both her daughter and grandson to gun violence. Her grandson, James TJ, or known affectionately as Man, was more than a neighbor to us. He was a friend and a constant presence in our lives, sharing time on our porches and our backyards and at cookouts. His warmth and spirit have been an indescribable blessing to me and my family. His absence is deeply felt, and I miss how he would fix his hair for a ridiculous amount of time while checking himself out on his phone. And I feel less without him. His untimely passing at 20, after already having lost his mother to gun violence, is a stark reminder of the urgent need for us to address this issue in our city. It's a call to action for us all and a plea to change. We must prioritize the safety of our citizens especially our children who are the future of Portland. I urge you to prioritize funding for initiatives that address the root causes of gun violence. We need comprehensive strategies that include community-based intervention programs, mental health support, and educational outreach that fosters a culture of safety and a respect for life. Thank you for the opportunity for letting me share with you.
Thank you, Andrew. Next, Mark Jamieson.
I'm not here to give testimony. Thank you.
Thank you. Jordan Lewis.
Hello, can you hear me?
We can.
Yep.
Okay, thank you. My name is Jordan Lewis. Excuse me, the script I was writing on a chat program just got deleted, so I'm going to be freewheeling it. My name is Jordan Lewis. I'm a resident of the Goose Hollow neighborhood, and I'm calling today to testify that we fully fund Portland Street Response rather than cutting its budget by 80%. As a resident of a downtown neighborhood, I come into contact with people in unstable situations semi-regularly. However, I don't call the police unless someone's literally getting axe murdered. I don't call the police. But Portland Street Response serves a great niche because if someone's being disruptive, I can have someone help them without potentially risking their life. There have been multiple occasions where some loud situation was happening and I was able to resolve it because of Portland Street Response. I would not have called the police if that was the only option I had. I'm testifying today. This is not my first time testifying in defense of a clear public mandate. I testified against the mass camps. I testified against the sleeping ban. I testified in favor of implementing charter reform as the voters mandated. I testified in favor of the Police Accountability Board as the voters mandated. It is it's becoming tiresome having to constantly testify in favor of things that the people want, that are broadly popular. And lastly, I would rather that City Hall not use the term public safety if Portland Street Response is not included in public safety. If our funding commitment is to Portland Police Bureau and Portland Fire Bureau, then I would rather we actually just say that rather than use the vague term public safety. Thank you. Also, fund PBOT. That's all I have to say. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Jordan. And I think our final testimony for this evening will be by Trevor Irish. Trevor, I see you on the call. Are you able to unmute?
Yeah, sorry, the jump to panelist was a bit interesting. All right, so my name is Trevor Irish and I am a homeowner in Southeast Portland. I'm here to testify in support of fully funding Portland Street Response. In 2021, I responded to a mental health crisis as a member of a group of community volunteers who were trying to provide unarmed crisis response because we saw that there was a need for that. A man was running through the streets of Slabtown at night, screaming that God or aliens were going to abduct him. When I located him, he was shouting, "Help, help me, they're going to get me." Joining delusional people in their imagined fear and empowering their autonomy is often the first step to building trust and getting them to agree to the care they need. I had some folding chairs in my vehicle and I told them, "These are safety chairs. No one will be able to get you in these chairs. Would you like to sit down?" The man sat down immediately. He was no longer running through the streets or putting his life in danger. Mayor Wheeler, please listen. The police then showed up. 2 officers approached this man with flashlights shining directly into his eyes and grabbed him by the shoulder. The lights in his eyes, the non-consensual touch. This man's previously imagined fears of an abduction were suddenly, terrifyingly, very real. He bolted out of the chair and immediately ran. Several blocks later, the officers tackled and physically restrained him while an EMT injected him with a sedative. He was then placed into a full-body restraint and hauled away in an ambulance. He was not read Miranda rights. He was not given a choice in his so-called treatment. This is why we need Portland Street Response. Armed officers are trained only to control and contain situations, not to provide care or treatment or any sense of safety to those they are ostensibly there to serve and protect. It doesn't take much to truly provide care to those who need it. I was able to provide care and safety for this man with some very minimal training, some patience, and a single folding chair, more than the PPB was willing or able to provide that night. We don't need more state-sponsored violence on our streets. We need compassionate, unarmed, mental health responders like Portland Street Response. The whole reason behind government at all is to help each other. Please do your job as my representatives in this governing body and fully fund and expand Portland Street Response. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. I've been told that there are a few people over in the actual room in person, and they will be speaking from Tim Deinhardt's Zoom account. The first person on the list will be Vania Lucio Mancia.
My name is Vania Lucio Mancia. I am the Multnomah County Manager and Pan Immigrant Leadership and Organizing Training Program Coordinator, or Pilot for short, at Unite Oregon, a nonprofit supporting Oregon's immigrant and refugee communities for a multicultural racial justice movement. I'm here today to talk about the proposed cuts to the Office of Civic Lives Diversity and Civic Leadership Program, which directly funds Pilot. Pilot has funded essential skill building, advocacy trainings, and civic engagement opportunities for local immigrant and refugee communities over 20 years. Cutting this program will leave a gap in critical leadership development programming that has helped prepare so many community members to engage and inform the important work and decisions that you all as elected officials make for the city and that impacts all of our communities. In addition to creating civic engagement opportunities for our communities, which the city claims to encourage and uplift, Pilot has also supported participants in seeking opportunities that will not only further their individual well-being, but also add value to the city. During the 4 years I have been the coordinator of the program, I've seen graduates take on job opportunities in organizations like Latino Network, Portland Parks and Rec, and PSU. Most recently, a participant has gone on to start her own nonprofit to do advocacy for her community during one of our pilot workshops. She was inspired during one of the pilot workshops. We connected her to other local nonprofit leaders, and she was able to jumpstart her organization. This is the type of support that immigrants and refugees are given at Pilot, and it is something they will certainly not receive in other places like the city. I say all of this because I aim to make it clear what the value of this program is to its graduates and to the city. In getting jobs from Pilot opportunities and resources, graduates have contributed greatly to the city, not only in the work they do within said jobs, but also economically when they spend their money and pay their taxes. Further, graduates have also gone on to serve as City Portland staff in the New Portlanders Policy Commission and Public Involvement Advisory Council. We ask the city to honor its commitment to uplifting our immigrant and refugee communities and civic life. Now more than ever, it is critical we sustain funding for this program and the leadership development programs it supports. I urge you to please fund the Diversity and Civic Leadership Program in the coming city budget. Thank you.
Thank you, Vania. Next, we have Troy Ramsey, also from the in-person group.
Good evening, everyone. I'm here today to urge violence prevention funding be prioritized in the 2024-2025 city budget. My name is Troy Ramsey. I am a gang veteran who has a nonprofit called Free Now 21, where we teach financial literacy to 8 to 21-year-olds and gang prevention in the community. I am here today because I want to ensure the city prioritizes funding violence prevention. Just a few years ago, the mayor declared a gun violence state of emergency in the city, and we are still facing the trauma and reality of gun violence. In 2023, the homicide rate was 5 times that as high as it was in 2016. And that is despite 16% drop in homicides last year compared to 2022. I have been a perpetrator of violence in the community back in the 90s and also a victim of gun violence. What these funds mean and what these funds means is a move in the right direction for continuing the fight for violence prevention in our communities. Free Now 21 works with youths affected by gun violence and young adults, teaching them the importance of finances and how it leads to a better lifestyle than the previous lifestyle that they were living. We work with multiple different organizations that are involved with helping curbing the violence in the community. Community violence prevention program currently funded by the city works directly with families and neighborhoods most impacted by gun violence, providing street-level community outreach and conflict mediation, job training, trauma, and mental health support, and more. I urge you to maintain and increase community violence intervention grant funding for the community-based nonprofit organizations that have been doing this work. Thank you, and I appreciate your time.
Thank you, Troy. And next we have Fletcher Nash, also from the in-person group.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Oh, okay. Hi, my name is Fletcher Nash. I'm just gonna kind of piggyback on what he just said for gun violence prevention program, because you might not realize gun violence prevention program is the first step to getting, also to getting our youth, the help that they need, because all they know about guns is like what they see on TV or what their war stories, their friends done told them. But, when you got boots on the ground and just letting them know that the impact by pulling that trigger, because see, when they pull that trigger, it's a whole lot of steps we done missed, before we can prevent them from getting to the point before they pull that trigger. Because I work for the organizations that pick up the pieces after they pull the trigger, I ask that you support gun violence prevention programs, because I've been on both sides of the gun. It's no fun. And if I would have had somebody there in the beginning just to tell me, hey, don't do this, or at least gave me enough information so I can stop and really think about the decision I'm about to make when I pull that trigger, because there's no going back after that. So please support the prevention programs, because it saves lives. And the lives it saves could be a family member or even your own. Thank you and have a great day.
Thank you, Fletcher. That was the last in-person testimony. Are there anyone else on the Zoom call that is supposed to be testified today? All right, I've been told there's no one else on the Zoom call, and so I believe that concludes our testimony for this evening. Over to you, Jen.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Jeremiah. And thank you, everyone, for such thoughtful testimony tonight. Next on our agenda, we'll hear some closing remarks from each of our council members. So I'll start by handing it to Commissioner Ryan.
Thank you, Jen. And, thank you for the people who testified tonight. It's really all about listening like we advertise. And we all took in some similar themes, and it really does help. It does help to hear how it impacts you, how it impacts your organizations, how it impacts your capacity to help us deliver services. It always helps when you're listening to partners that work with government that become a part of our service delivery. And so I just want to thank everybody for showing up. It's the early stages of budget development, and I'm glad that the system is set up where we really begin by listening to the public. So that's all I have right now. I took some great notes and have some themes here, but it's been a heck of a day, and I'm grateful that it ended with listening to Portlanders. Thanks.
Thank you. Next, we'll hear from Commissioner Gonzalez.
Just want to thank all the citizens that participated today. Want to just highlight a couple of themes, hearing quite a bit from the coalitions, the neighborhood associations. There's a lot of change management across the city, and evaluating how we best engage with our neighborhoods and the resources they need is going to be an ongoing theme. So just ask that you work with this, and we're listening, but it's going to be an ongoing exercise in change management. Certainly heard substantial testimony on public safety across the board. Rose City Defense, this is a venerable program, originally helps women and girls protect themselves in the city of Portland and learn important life skills. Certainly heard the importance there. The heart-wrenching testimony on gun violence prevention and offensive violence prevention. I really appreciate the comments there. as well as the NET teams. These are community volunteers that are so important in preserving resilience in the community. And with these pieces, at least, I just want to highlight where we stand as a budget. There's expectations that public safety would be held harmless, but sometimes the devil's in the detail. And these are all programs that face potential impacts, notwithstanding they're in the broader umbrella of public safety, and are doing very good work, but are facing potential challenges in funding. So I look forward to working with my colleagues on how to protect these all vital and important programs in our community. A couple of pieces I want to just speak to on Portland Street Response. I think there are a couple of areas of misunderstanding in the community, and I want to be crystal clear on a couple of pieces. PSR can be reached on both 911 and non-emergency. So you can call 911 or you can call 823-3333. Just want to be crystal clear on that you can reach them both ways. In 2023, we saw about north of a 95% expansion in the call volume for PSR. And we also saw a dramatic increase in police response time. And I just want to go back to some of the early data on Portland Street Response. We saw a substantial number of the calls they respond to alleviate police. But yet in 2023, we saw substantial increased volume from PSR and increased response time for police. So one of the challenges we're facing on the streets of Portland is the increased acuity. And even if Portland Street Response can respond today, we may see that same person the next day, the next week, the next month. And so it's a wonderful program. It's doing important work. But I think that there's been set a false expectation that investing merely in PSR is going to alleviate your staffing needs for either police or fire. I think that's a false narrative. Don't think it's supported by the data, notwithstanding some good initial metrics. And so just want to be crystal clear on that. Also, I think it was implicit in some of the testimony about the relationship between our response to homelessness and solutions to homelessness in PSR. PSR is not going to solve homelessness. It's not going to solve addiction. It is a non-police response to folks in mental distress. It serves an important role in our community, but we need much more structural pieces to be built as well to address the underlying issues involved in our unsheltered population and encampments. I will leave it at that on those pieces, and I'll turn it over to my colleagues. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Next, we'll hear from Commissioner Mapps.
Well, I want to thank everyone who showed up to testify tonight. I appreciate hearing your feedback. I think about 24 people spoke to us this evening. Obviously, there was overwhelming support for Portland Street Response. I think at least half of the folks who showed up today commented on that. I also note that we had at least 4 people who talked about their support for the Office of Violence Prevention. That's a program I care deeply about too. About 3 folks showed up today to express their concerns about funding for the district offices that serve our neighborhood associations, and also over in Civic Life. I think we had at least 2, if not more, folks who talked about the need to support DCLs. As a guy who used to work over in Civic Life and literally used to run the neighborhood association system, those issues matter very much to me too. I also want to highlight and express my thanks to a couple of folks who specifically talked about programs that were specifically in my bureaus. Sarah, you might remember, testified on Vision Zero. Like her, I believe it's important that we fund these programs. And even if it means occasionally going to the general fund, folks, this is a challenging time in our public safety space. Jordan also gave out a shout out to Peabody, and I appreciate that too. I also we probably lost Marianne Fitzgerald right now. She was giving some very interesting testimony on some issues that frankly are in my portfolio and in my heart. Specifically, she talked about natural resources and stormwater infrastructure. I think I heard Marianne say, she had submitted written testimony. So I will go look for that, and I'll have my staff look for that too. Marianne, we'll reach out to you to have a richer discussion about what's happening in some of those spaces. I don't know if we'll be able to get full funding for everything that you want, but at least I can give you my best understanding about where we're at today. Mostly, I'll tell you, I haven't heard a whole lot today that I disagreed with. I also am keenly aware that we have millions of dollars in requests for new funding, when in practice, this is essentially a cut year for the bureaus. So one of the things that we're going to have to figure out how to do is to support the important programs that are making a difference in our city, even as our resource base functionally shrinks. I will be engaging in rich dialogues with my colleagues over the next couple of weeks around topics like that. Again, the budget really reflects the values of our city and our priorities and our needs. I want to help thank everyone who helped us become a little bit smarter tonight. And I encourage folks who didn't get a chance to testify tonight to come to one of our future listening sessions. I believe our next one will be late morning Saturday. So we'll see you there. Thank you very much. And I'll hand the floor back to Jen.
Wonderful. Next, we'll hear from Commissioner Rubio.
Thanks, Jen. And thanks again to everyone who testified today. I appreciate your time and energy to advocate for programs and services that are really important to the city and to the communities that live here. And from you and others, everything I've heard tonight resonates with my priorities and concerns as well. And your comments will help to define the budget and our work for the rest of 2024 and into the new year, especially with our new form of government at stake. And compelling things that have been very resonant tonight, support for maintaining and fully funding Portland Street Response, and also Rose City Self-Defense, both as vital components of our public safety system. Also support for maintaining funding for the impactful diverse civic leaders programs. And this program in particular is very near to my heart, as someone who's run a DCL program in my previous life on the community side. And these programs have produced thousands of civically engaged communities that otherwise wouldn't have had access. Also sustaining the vital NET team programs and volunteers, and also support for district coalition funding. These are things that are also going to be part of our thinking as we move into this transitionary time into our new government and our new districts. And then finally, we heard about the importance of funding programs that combat gun violence and also promote street safety. All of these are really important and critical services that will ensure that our city stays on track and lives up to our priorities and our values. And they'll remain at the top of my mind as we move through this budget process, and especially as we make hard budget decisions in this cut year, as my colleagues have also mentioned. So thank you everyone for taking the time to give your voice to your priorities tonight.
Thank you. And finally, we'll hear from Mayor Wheeler.
Great. First of all, Jen, I want to thank you for moderating again. You've done this quite a few times, and I always appreciate the professionalism, the flair you bring to this. Thank you for that. Thanks to everybody who took time away from what I'm sure are busy lives to give us your thoughts and your feedback. I heard the same things my colleagues did. I learned a few other things that frankly I need to dig into and learn a bit more about I'm aware of the discussion around the neighborhood district coalition offices. But I learned a little more detail tonight, particularly about the District 4 funding. And so I'm going to do a little more digging into that along with my staff. The other issues I heard, obviously Portland Street Response was the overriding subject of public testimony today, but the DCL, the self-defense, the tree management, PBOT, neighborhood net teams, which I agree are fabulous ways to engage the community for not a significant cost. Of course, violence prevention, gun violence reduction has been a top priority of mine since day one. And I really appreciate Troy and Jeremiah being here and expressing their issues and concerns. All of these things are important, and I want to just sort of level set for a moment, because what I'd hate to do is for us to set up false expectations about what we are experiencing. So let me give it to you straight. I have to be the first one to propose a budget. There will be something in this budget for everybody to be upset about. This is probably the toughest budget I've had to do in 18 years of public service. Even with, and just to be clear, what's on the table now, these are proposed, but they are proposed by the bureaus in response to constraints that they were given. And there's a number of constraints. We have listened to the public and we are budgeting towards public priorities. And the public has told us clearly in recent years, homelessness, public safety and gun violence reduction, addressing livability issues, and responding to the economic consequences of COVID and restoring our city. Those have been priorities that the public has been very clear about. In addition, the public has directed us to completely reshape Portland government by January 1st, 2025. That is a huge expenditure, and it comes right off the top. It is required that we do that. And there are other requirements as well. So where we are tonight is, even with these proposed reductions, I would still be about $20 million short in terms of my proposed budget. So I just want people to think about that and contemplate that for a moment. What I heard between the lines is as important as what maybe wasn't stated overtly, which is we have to lean into those programs that work. And that's what I will be doing. I will be asking very tough questions about how effective programs are, whether they are tiny programs or whether they are large programs. And that will help me guide my decisions. But these 3 work sessions are an opportunity for us to listen. You came, you gave great testimony. Frankly, I was impressed with the degree of preparation people put into this testimony. For those of you who are first timers, thank you. Everybody sounded great, and I appreciate your passion. And Jen, I'll turn it back to you to tell us what the next steps are.
Wonderful. Thank you, Mayor Wheeler. I'll conclude us just by highlighting again those next opportunities for community input. This Saturday, April 13th from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m., we'll have our second community budget listening session. And then following that on Monday, April 15th from 6:30 to 8:30, we'll have our third community listening session. And then on Thursday, May 9th from 2 to 5 p.m. Will be the mayor's proposed budget hearing, followed by on Wednesday, May 15th from 2 to 5 p.m., the approved budget hearing testimony opportunity. You can at any time provide online testimony at portland.gov/CBO, or you can email testimony to budgetcomment@portlandoregon.gov. All of the testimony that you submit will be provided to council offices. And with that, I will give it back to Mayor Wheeler to conclude us for the evening.
Well, you said it all best. Thank you, everybody, for participating. We'll see some of you again on Saturday. We are adjourned. Thank you.